My name is Gloria. I'm 69 years old. 3 months ago, I signed the lease for a small one-bedroom apartment with a narrow balcony that faces east. Most mornings now, I sit there quietly and watch the sun rise. I never thought I would be the kind of woman who leaves a marriage after 47 years. But I did. There was no affair, no shouting, no betrayal. Just a quiet collection of years that slowly became heavier than I could carry.
I met Robert when I was 22. We married the next year. Back then, that's what people did. You met someone decent, someone steady, someone with a job, and you built a life. And we did. 3 children, a house in the suburbs, family photos that looked happy. From the outside, we were everything a marriage was supposed to be. Robert wasn't cruel. He didn't drink. He didn't yell. He worked hard and came home every evening. But somewhere along the way, I started to feel like I was disappearing. Not all at once, just small things. Tiny erasers that didn't seem important enough to complain about. Early in our marriage, I told Robert I wanted to go back to school, study literature, maybe become a teacher someday. He smiled kindly and said, "That's nice, Gloria. Maybe later. We're saving for a house." Later never came, and that was the first thing I quietly put away. When the children were small, I suggested we travel. Nothing big, just weekend trips, somewhere new, somewhere that felt alive. Robert said he didn't see the point. We had a good home. Why spend money sleeping in an uncomfortable bed somewhere else? I didn't push. There were always practical reasons why it wasn't the right time. And I learned to be reasonable, to be patient, to be agreeable. So I put that dream away too. Over the years, I put away many small pieces of myself. The version of me who got excited about possibilities. The woman who had ideas that didn't fit neatly into the routine of our life. Robert didn't mean to erase her. I don't think he even noticed she was fading. I kept the house clean, raised the children, cooked dinners, smiled at barbecues, sent Christmas cards with perfect photos. I was good at being a wife, good at being a mother, but I wasn't good at being myself, because after a while, I wasn't sure who that was anymore. One night, maybe 15 years into our marriage, I lay in bed beside Robert while he slept, and suddenly I realized I couldn't remember the last real conversation we'd had. Not about bills, not about the kids, a real conversation. I tried to think of the last time he asked me something about myself, something that showed curiosity about what was happening inside me. I couldn't think of one. Lying there in the dark, next to the man I'd married, I felt more alone than I ever had in my life. But I didn't say anything. I didn't know how to explain that you can be lonely beside someone you love. So I turned over and went to sleep. And that became our pattern. Feel something, push it down. The children grew up. They moved away, built their own lives. Suddenly, it was just Robert and me in that quiet house, and the silence became unbearable. Evenings would pass without a single conversation. He watched television. I read or kept my hands busy with small chores. Sometimes I tried to start a conversation. I'd mention something I read, something I was thinking about. He'd nod politely and turn back to the screen. After a while, I stopped trying. I told myself this was normal. This was what long marriages looked like, comfortable, settled. But inside, I felt like I was living with a stranger, a polite, distant stranger I had somehow promised my entire life to. 2 years ago, Robert took me to dinner for my birthday, a nice restaurant. He gave me jewelry I would probably never wear. We sat across from each other. And for the first time in years, I really looked at him. And I realized something that frightened me. Things don't know him. Not really. And worse, he didn't know me. We had spent 45 years together, and we were still strangers. That night, I started thinking about how much time I might have left. 10 years? Maybe 15. And I imagined spending all that time in that same silence. Something inside me cracked. One evening, after dinner, I turned off the television and sat beside him. "I don't think we really know each other anymore," I said. Robert frowned. "What are you talking about? We've been married 46 years. "I know," I said softly, "but I feel alone. Even when I'm with you, I feel alone." He from across for a moment, then quit. "I don't know what you want me to do about that, Gloria." That was it. No questions, no curiosity, no attempt to understand, just dismissal. I carried that sentence with me for months. I didn't tell anyone. I just lived with a growing certainty that I couldn't do this anymore. I felt guilty, selfish, like I was betraying a promise made decades ago. But questions asked clear. In curiosity, I found the apartment. When I told Robert I was leaving, he looked at me like I had lost my mind. "You're 69, he said. "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving," I answered. He asked what he'd done wrong, and I couldn't explain, because it wasn't one thing. It wasn't 1,000 small silences over 47 years. I moved out on a quiet Tuesday morning. The house smelled like coffee and laundry detergent, like it always did. Robert was sitting at the kitchen table reading the newspaper. He didn't say much, just watched me carry my small suitcase to the door. I didn't take much. Some clothes, a few books I loved, an old photo album the kids had made for me years ago. There were so many things I left behind. Dishes we bought together, curtains I chose, furniture that held our memories. But they didn't feel like mine anymore. They felt like pieces of a life I had already finished living. The children called me that week. They were kind, gentle, but worried. I could hear it in their voices. They asked if I was okay, if something had happened, if their father had hurt me. I told them no, nothing happened, and maybe that was the hardest thing to explain, that a life can look peaceful and still feel empty. They thought I was going through a phase, a late life crisis, something that would pass. But I knew it wouldn't, because for the first time in decades, I felt honest. This apartment is quiet too. The walls are plain, the furniture is simple, the kitchen is small, but the silence here feels different. It isn't heavy with all the words I swallowed. It isn't filled with the sound of a television drowning out my thoughts. It's just space. Space to breathe. Space to think. Space to remember who I used to be. I don't have a grand plan. I don't know what the rest of my life looks like. Some mornings I still wake up confused, wondering if I made a terrible mistake. But then I sit on that balcony and I feel something like hope. And hope, even a small one, is enough for now. Every morning, I sit on the balcony and watch the sky change from gray to gold. The first light touches the buildings, then the trees, then the street below. People hurry to work, carrying coffee cups, checking their phones, living their busy lives. And I sit there, feeling time move. Sometimes I cry, not loud, desperate crying, just quiet tears that come without warning. Because after so many years of feeling numb, feeling anything again is overwhelming. I feel sadness for the years I lost, gratitude for the children we raised, anger at myself for staying silent so long, compassion for Robert, who never understood what I needed because I never truly told him. And beneath all of that, I feel something new, possibility. I don't know if I'll ever fall in love again. I don't know if I'll travel or study or become the woman I once imagined. But I know one thing. I am no longer disappearing. I am speaking. I am choosing. I am taking up space in my own life, even if it's late. If you're listening to me right now, maybe you understand. Maybe you're still sitting at a kitchen table, feeling invisible. Maybe you're afraid it's too late to change. I thought that too. But sometimes the bravest thing we can do is begin again.
Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for letting me say it out loud.
And wherever you are tonight, I hope you remember this. It is never too late to come back to yourself.